If you don't sit in your lucky seat, your team could lose. So don't leave your lucky seat. But do pick up your phone or computer and order B-Dubs to go. Or if you've got a big group, call in for the party menu. That way you can order wings, pick them up, and get back to your lucky seat. And if you do lose while sitting in your lucky seat, you can still feel lucky eating your feelings. Spicy feelings. Keep your superstitions. We do it for you. Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.
Prices and participation vary. See participating locations for details. Void where prohibited.
And now, insurance-minded speeches from Geico.
It's a common expression, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. However, what if the horse's mouth is filled with useful insurance tools? This is the exact case with the Geico app. Yes, the app is free and therefore a gift horse. However, look inside the app and behold, emergency roadside assistance, digital ID cards, bill pay. Get the Geico app. Look it in the mouth. Get amazing services. Thank you.
We are the New York Knicks. I'm back in the New York groove. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks is taking no shorts, it's like winter. New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, it's the New York Knicks podcast, episode 361. I am Jay.
I am Mark, and we are recording this week. Saw the Knicks lose a lot, lose to the Suns, to the Warriors, and the Nuggets. Jay, have you you've been to an open mic night, like stand-up comedy? Not like you doing it, but like you watching comedians up there, right?
Yes.
And you see, sometimes comedians will take and even sometimes it's not even open mic night, but they're working on they're working their stuff out, and they'll bring notes up, and they'll like do some jokes, then refer to their notes, and then do some stuff, and like they're reading a little bit, but like if they're still funny, it's okay, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't mind. I know some people get annoyed with that. I think that's totally fine.
And it's like sometimes it's a lot to remember, and you're still kind of working your stuff out and trying to get better.
Yeah, it's not like they're reading off of it. They're using that as like a little cheat sheet.
Yeah, and if they're funny, if it helps them be funny, I'm fine with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so and I know it's not the exact same thing. I was hoping the Knicks would take a look. They could all have notebooks out there when they're on the court, and they could see notes like, "Hey, don't just follow the ball. Think about where the ball's going to," and that maybe it'll help if they have notes on the court with them.
Or you have to watch your man and also be aware of where the ball is.
Yeah, don't double team for no apparent reason. If they're outside the 3-point line, they're still allowed to shoot. Those kind of things being on note cards would be really, or a notebook, whatever, on the court with them at all times would be very helpful. And maybe our defense would suffer a little bit because, say, Porzingis or someone else looks down at his notes, but maybe we get better because we have the notes out there with us.
Right, and eventually, you memorize the notes, and then you could do it without the notes.
Yeah, maybe you eventually memorize things like fight through screens, don't just switch for no reason. If you switch, to make sure the other guy doesn't just stay on the same guy. Just little things like that would be. I think it would work. We're kind of the Knicks are kind of like a comedian basically working out his stuff. We have a ways to go before we're a professional team, so that could help.
So there was 4 games this week. It started off good. We beat the Lakers.
That game I don't count though because that was the night of our show, of the last show.
Right, but we didn't cover it.
It's not in this week of hell.
Well, we didn't cover it.
The Knicks beat the Lakers. That's part of the last show. That was last Sunday. We're just talking about the 3 horrific games.
Okay.
Oh, you want to spend the whole show on the Laker win? I
kind of do, yeah.
Oh wow, we beat the Lakers. Whoop-de-doo!
I mean, do you want to talk about these other games? I would rather focus on that. It's a good thing I wasn't picking the Knicks draft pick this year because I would have picked Ingram, and he's terrible.
Yeah. Is he that bad? Yeah, he is pretty. He's not starting for the Lakers, and he's not like getting major minutes or contributing very much.
Against the Knicks in 26 minutes, he was 1 for 8 and fouled out.
he must be really bad because everyone else against the Knicks has a career night. So Ingram must be really bad. Kenneth Faried looked like an all-star against the Knicks.
Oh, my
so
God.
Ingram must be really bad.
Yeah, all right. Let's move on from the Lakers game.
Hey, by the way, instead of trashing, I know it's very easy for us to like want to be negative about Joakim Noah this week. It's pretty easy. Like you kind of have some negative stuff to say about Noah, right?
No. All my notes are total compliments.
So, but instead of bashing Noah, I'm just going to read Hornacek bashing Noah instead. I thought that'd be better. Go directly from the coach's mouth.
You watched the post-game interview?
We're not getting off to great starts, and that's not all on Joe. We're just trying to find a combination that'll get us going. We like his energy and what he can do that way, but the time will come. There are times when we just think Willie had the energy tonight. He didn't look like he was tired at all, so we just went with him. I wonder who looked tired then.
Well, I mean, Noah did play 15 entire minutes 2 days before.
You know, I don't think he was tired though in the game against the game was the Nuggets. You know why?
Why?
Do you know what he did after the game?
No.
He went to go work out.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. He went to work out because he was so much energy and so frustrated with how bad the game was. He only played 11 minutes, and they weren't a good 11 minutes. And no one would argue that he should have gotten more than 11 minutes. So he went to go work out because he's trying to get better.
I just got a new iPhone, and I said, "Are you serious?" And then Siri came on.
Did you press I assume you pressed the button, or it just responds.
No,
No,
the thing. My phone's just like, "Well, what can I do for you?" And I'm like, "I wasn't talking to you." Okay. Anyway,
does Siri know why we signed Noah for $72 million? Okay, so the first game against the Suns, the first game I'm counting, the Laker game, whatever. Knicks went down by a lot, not a lot, but they started off slow, and spent the rest of the game coming back, brought the game to overtime, and lost in overtime. Were you impressed at all by the Knicks' ability to come back?
does it still count as a comeback if they ended up losing?
I mean, they came back to tie the game and send it to
True.
overtime.
I mean, they were down 12 in the fourth. You know what? I guess it's an improvement because in prior years when they're down 12 going into the fourth, they usually, pulled it within 4 and then ended up losing by 12. Now they made it all the way to overtime. The thing about this game is that Porzingis was absolutely on fire and he was going nuts. And
by the way, the correct answer was no. I'm not impressed with this damn team. Coming back against an awful Phoenix Sun team. What we should have been down early, and if you go down early, you got to beat this team.
Yeah, but then 3 for 11, Melo says I'm just gonna jack up 4 more shots in overtime instead of passing to Porzingis.
Well, I mean, Noah being 2 for 7 from the line didn't help us at all. He missed 4 free throws in a row. That he hit one of those free throws, we win the game.
Right.
Melo, going 3 for 15 didn't really help. Well, that was the game. So the Knicks looked like crap for the first 3 quarters. In the fourth quarter, they went with a bench lineup, including a lot of Ron Baker. Well, first thing is that Baker seemed like he was out there a little too long. Were you surprised they put Baker out there in the first place? Are you going to kill Horny for leaving Baker out too long?
No, because what other options do we have? It was him or Sasha because this was Rose's one game he played. He was out 2 with his back. Then he played this and I guess re-hurt his back. So he was 0 for 6 and he was done. So now you have Jennings who already played almost 30 minutes and Baker. I'd rather Baker than Sasha.
Yeah. No, I don't kill him. I actually think it was worth a shot to try something different. The team looked like crap. No one could stop Bledsoe. So at least you put a guy out there who's supposed to have some defense, supposed to play defense. Maybe he'd slow Bledsoe down a little bit. The one thing Horny I like. Horny I don't think has done a bad job. And one thing or 2 things I like about Horny is 1, he doesn't think Sasha deserves minutes. He's been going to Baker as his third point guard, even though Baker's not even a point guard, because he really doesn't think a lot of Sasha. And second, you're making $72 million, doesn't mean you get to play. Yeah,
I mean, I think Hornacek's doing a good job. I I'm happier with him as a coach than I've been with any coach we've had so far. Like in I don't even know how long, 10 years.
I feel like recent Knicks memory, if you had a big contract, you had to play.
Yeah.
And now
I'm all right.
Yes. Well, I guess Stephon Marbury or Eddie Curry had a big contract, and the Knicks actually actively asked them not to play or come to the arena or come to games. Yeah, I always like the fact that he's like still like you have to earn your minutes, which Noah clearly is not earning. Yeah, there was a lot of problems in this game. I like the bench lineup. So the game.
This was the official O'Quinn, we owe you an apology game.
I mean, there were a couple. Yeah, O'Quinn had a monster fourth quarter, and the Knicks actually they were up and it looked like they were going to cruise to a victory, and then they went back to Melo and some of their veterans, and then that's where the game ended up being tied.
I mean, 22-14, that is almost Noah's production total for the week. Although I guess that's O'Quinn's production total for the week too, because he did nothing the 2 games after that.
No, that's true. And it's weird how like either Billy gets a ton of play one night or O'Quinn gets a ton of.
I'm calling him
play.
Willie.
You're what?
I'm calling him Willie.
Willie. It's Billy. You know that, right?
I do. I refuse to acknowledge that. Have a B like a normal human being. Don't have a W and say it's Billy. That's stupid.
He's from Europe. He's different.
Fine. Start calling me Bason.
I kind of just like calling him Billy because I keep thinking of White Man Can't Jump. Billy Hoyle. Yeah. So I just like saying the word. I just like saying Billy in reference to basketball. There are not a lot of Billies out there. So here's a question. They had an all bench lineup basically. It was like all bench plus Porzingis. Could Horny have just kept it all bench lineup and not gone back to Melo?
He could have.
Melo was,
yeah.
But it seems like he almost like with 2 minutes to go, he had to put Melo back in. I would have been impressed if they just said, Melo, you're done for the night.
Because Melo is the most clutch last 2-minute player of all time.
And Melo played great against the Denver Nuggets. I wish he played like that every night.
Did Porzingis and Melo make a pact to just alternate who plays well on every given night?
At least like when they both play bad, you're supposed to have Derrick Rose playing well. Rose is injured.
Like if Melo and Porzingis had a good night at the same time, they would blow teams out.
Well, clearly, if Melo could do what he did against the Nuggets more often, the Knicks should like blow a lot of teams out.
Yeah, but then Porzingis was kind of bad against the Nuggets, so
and no one played defense against the Nuggets. I mean, I couldn't even believe how much they got into the paint and just scored at will. There's no even point of playing Noah. The entire purpose of Noah is his defense. And you're like, well, he's a better defender than O'Quinn and Billy. But as you've seen, Noah's been terrible on defense. So you might as well just have Billy out there with his offense and O'Quinn out there. I mean, they're all terrible on defense. So let's take the guys that have an offensive game.
Yeah, I mean, we signed Noah for his defense, and we went down 14-3 against a crappy Nuggets team.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we didn't see the contract where Noah said the 4 years of him do not include his defense,
or his offense, or his free throw shooting, or
he is. The problem also with him out there is that you can't even. He's a liability. He goes down the post up. But if he goes to post up, he draws his defender and enables the guy to double team someone else. You pass him the ball, he immediately passes it out, which creates problems also. If you've passed Noah the ball underneath the basket, he has to try to score, or else you shouldn't be standing underneath the basket.
That is the point of standing underneath the basket. Yeah.
Oh my God, there was one play, I think it was this game, where Noah got the ball on the. They were on. It was kind of it wasn't even a breakaway, but he was dribbling. And he passed the ball, a bounce pass to Porzingis in stride, but Porzingis was like dribbling up the court. Porzingis is not the guy who's receiving the ball to dribble up the court, and Porzingis just missed it, and it was a turnover. And I was like, Noah, why would you why would you give the ball to someone not a guard? Give it to your guards. You have everyone else wants to dribble. Carmelo Anthony wants the ball at all times. Don't give it to Porzingis when he's 30 feet from the basket.
Is it official yet? Is he the worst contract in the NBA?
Here's a question. So this is going to Noah a little bit. Do you think, if not for the 4-year deal, Noah would not be in the NBA the next 4 years?
No, he'd be in the NBA.
I don't think I think he's at a point where he might have another year left in the NBA, but for the 4-year contract he has.
I mean,
I don't know. I don't know what's going on. He's injured. If he's injured, take some time off and get back and play when you're healthy.
He's 2 years removed from, well, like 2.5 years now from a
defensive player of the year.
Defensive
right?
player of the year. So that buys you, but that buys you like 3 or 4 years.
He's also 2.5 of the worst years of his career, and looking like a shell of his former self. I don't know. I agree. Another team or two will sign him, but he's kind of like looking right now that if the Knicks had him on a 1-year deal, you would say his days in the NBA are probably numbered. You don't see him playing in the NBA for like 4 more years.
No, if he was playing like this and the Knicks signed him to a 1-year deal, next year he would probably get like 2 years, 5 per or something like that.
Do you think the Knicks fans would be giving people? We're not the ones that are so negative on Noah. We're not the only ones. Like, I mean, Hornacek was negative on Noah. A lot of people have been negative on Noah. If it was a 1-year deal, do you think everyone would be as negative?
Yeah. You know, well, maybe not as negative. I think part of the negativity is fear. Because if it's this bad now, like, I'm just trying to imagine 3 years from now.
I'm not sure how much worse it could get. Like, is he in 3 years from now? Is he going to score baskets for the opponent? Like, he's not playing defense already and turning the ball over on offense. What else is he going to do?
I mean, right now he can. It seems like 20 minutes is almost his max.
Yeah, and he's not even a good 20-minute.
His last 3 games, he played 22, 15, and 11.
He had a couple games early in the year where he had a bunch of assists and he looked okay on defense, and has just looked awful ever since. Yeah. I don't know why he was able to have a couple of decent games earlier in the year, and now it's just terrible.
Right now, we are at the point where we got about 3 negative iTunes reviews over the summer because we didn't like the Rose and Noah moves, and we said they're going to be injured halfway through the season. We're now at that point where what we said was right. So, by the way, I'd like you guys to undo those negative reviews and send us.
I think the new fans listening to the Derrick Rose impression also wasn't helpful.
Probably not, but I'm just saying, like, this was a very predictable scenario. Now Rose has missed 4 out of the last 5 games, and that's only if you count the game he played 10 minutes with a gimp back.
Now you know he's injured. You know what you've seen some of the best of Noah and seen the injured Noah also. Do you hate the Noah move? What do you think of the Noah move?
The Noah move.
Not the Noah. Sorry, the Rose move.
Absolutely hate it.
You see, it's grown on me. It really has grown on me because he looks, when healthy, he started getting really good before these back issues.
Yeah, but we knew he was going to get injured. We knew that. But
you also have him on a 1-year deal.
Yeah, but we traded Robin Lopez, and our big problem on this roster is a center.
Right. I guess
that's my main issue. Like, a healthy Rose, that's great. But our center situation is absolute trash. We're paying Noah $4.5 million more a year than Lopez, and Lopez looks pretty good.
I mean, Lopez. Let's not say Lopez is not. He's not a Tim Duncan out there, or
compared to Noah, he is.
Here. Yeah, and he's not amazing, but he's an adequate serviceable center that does a lot, that helps you win games. The Bulls aren't that great either right now, but
but with Melo and Porzingis, like, Lopez is what you need. You don't need a DeAndre Jordan or something. You need a Robin Lopez.
It would clearly be very helpful to have Robin Lopez on this team. Clearly be very. You know what would be helpful to have on this team? Tyson Chandler. Wouldn't we be so much worse off if we just never traded Tyson Chandler?
Probably not. You see the thing, he's another guy where when he's healthy, he looks great, but he has some injury issues.
Looked pretty good. He looked pretty good the other night with Phoenix.
He did.
He has some health issues also. But what center of the Knicks doesn't? Lopez has injury history also. Lopez has only recently been healthy. Chandler, I mean, you could have had him on a decent contract. I almost think we should just. I mean, who cares? I mean, Chandler, Lopez, anyone else we've had here, Cole Aldridge would be better than having Noah right now.
Because Chandler, he played 66 games last year, and he only played 24 and a half minutes a game. So it's still not really what you want from your starting center.
Right, you'd like a guy who can get 30 minutes, but apparently we're only going with aged. I kind of think right now, if Noah was on a reasonable contract, we wouldn't be as upset. It's just because of this huge contract, which is a huge albatross around our neck, and it'll hurt our ability to like acquire free agents in the future. But the idea of having you have three, maybe some nights Noah gives you some decent minutes. Maybe some nights, just kind of look on the positive side of things. Some nights Cock goes crazy and he plays some nice minutes, and some nights
Kyle O'Quinn, folks.
Yes, and some nights Billy gives us some good minutes, and you have a three-headed, not really monster at the center, but you have a three-headed like okayness at center, I guess. Like we could get by with
the Bulls
three of
did
them.
that with Wennington, Purdue, and
So here's my idea. Also, I'm thinking the starting lineup has been shit, right? Like it's getting off in the beginning of games. It's not really. We're not lighting the world on fire. We're usually going down by a bunch of points recently, and we need a spark, right?
yeah.
So here's my new idea. Why don't we do a little more of KP at center, starting games? Now you're going to say KP, his defense isn't really where it needs to be being a starting center in the NBA. But is his defense any worse than any of the other guys we're going to throw out there at center?
That is true. I would say it depends on who the opposing center is.
Right. No, I can see the matchup thing being an issue at times. But like you put KP at center, Melo moves over to the 4, and throw Justin Holiday into the starting lineup. I think we'd have a more athletic and possibly better defensive lineup than we have now. Melo guards more of the 4s, and you have between Holiday and Courtney Lee, you have some guys that can they can do some switches. You have better defenders out there.
I mean, you would argue, does Noah get butthurt because he's supposed to be like, the big acquisition and blah blah blah. But do you care if a guy who's playing 15 minutes a game gets butthurt?
Butthurt?
Yeah, like his feelings are hurt.
I've never heard the expression butthurt.
No.
Where did you grow up? What kind of expression is that? Butthurt.
You never heard of that?
No, I literally have never heard that. Where did you get that from?
I don't know.
Butthurt. I'm kind of butthurt now. I just broke up with my butthurt girlfriend. What is butthurt?
I'm trying to keep the show PG.
Okay. That's just a weird expression. Did cock make you butthurt?
Okay.
Kyle O'Quinn, not cursing.
Do you honestly? Do you care about him getting really upset if he gets?
No, I actually want him to get a chip on your shoulder and play your way back into the starting lineup.
Yeah.
How much worse are you going to be?
Yeah,
Your
exactly.
coach is already calling you out for your lack of effort. You're already going after games. You're like, I have so much energy. I need to go work out. Hey, Noah, you are a problem right now. You better get your shit together and play better. That's not really a curse, right?
I don't. No.
Okay. I didn't think that counted as a curse, and I probably.
We'll have to check with our bosses.
Okay. Let's go to the Warriors game.
Did we mention that we're a part of the Almighty Bowlers podcast network?
We're supposed to mention that at the beginning of the show, Jay.
I know. We were just so upset about the. We were part of the Almighty Bowlers podcast network, so
yes.
You could check out almightybowlers.com.
Which is a link that has wonderful podcasts from all different NBA teams. It is a fantastic network, and any team you want to go, like, hey, what's going on with the Phoenix Suns? You can listen to the Phoenix Sun podcast, assuming that's one of the podcasts on the network.
There's going to be one for every team. Chris, who was on our show 2 episodes ago, he is handpicking all the episodes, so he's making sure they're good. Right now, there's a Warriors, Rockets, Lakers, Pacers, Wizards, Heat, Kings, Cavs, and Timberwolves podcast.
So I'm going to scare you right now.
Okay.
I am still open to extending Derrick Rose.
You're a madman.
It's okay. He's missed a couple games. Let's just see how it plays out at the end of the year. If he plays 65-plus games, I am open because he looks like he has a lot of talent. He looks like he's a guy. I get the Derrick Rose move. Here's the Derrick Rose. Forget who we traded. The idea is you take a guy who was MVP and had a really high ceiling of talent. If you want to win the NBA, you really – not if you want to go to the playoffs. If you want to really win the NBA, you need a star-level talent.
Dirk Nowitzki was
Rose,
MVP. Do you want him now?
What'd you say?
Dirk Nowitzki. He was MVP. Do you want him now?
Yeah, sure. Why not? As if he could start for us right now. Is he injured right now?
He played like 2 games this season.
Fine. Well, would he be any worse than Noah? Either way, Derrick Rose, he 27 years old? He has a lot of talent. If he can get anywhere near his old form, you have a guy who has a bunch of years left in the NBA who could really be a star for you. You're rolling the dice. I understand rolling the dice on it. You have him for 1 year. If it's a disaster, you move on. But if he's okay, if he's actually looks like he's there, he could get back to where he was. Hey, you can then re-sign him, have the inside track on re-signing him, and have a solid. If Derrick Rose played near MVP form, then we'd be a serious contender.
You, sir, have lost your mind.
Do you disagree with that? If Derrick Rose played like if he could
Yeah,
play,
if Dirk played like his MVP year, then the Mavericks would be good too.
right?
Do you
right.
think
No,
there's a Mark on the Mavericks podcast saying, well, if Dirk will just get back to where he was in 2007, it would be really good?
Dirk's 99 years old? Derrick Rose is at a reasonable age where he should be in his prime of his career, coming off major injuries, but it's not completely absurd to see him pull a Grand Hill and have a bunch of healthy years going forward.
Okay.
I'm not saying we should resign him right this second. I'm just saying I'm going to keep an open mind about this, and I think I hated this move at first, but the more I've thought about it and the more I've observed his play, I actually feel like it was a worthwhile roll of the dice, and because it's hard to get a guy of his talent level, and if he can get any,
I know what you're doing right now.
The last couple games, you have to admit, before he was injured, the last couple games he was looking pretty darn good. Not necessarily on defense. He was looking okay at defense at best, but his offense was looking pretty darn good.
I know exactly what you're doing right now.
I have nothing. I have no joke planned or anything.
No, I know what you're doing.
What am I doing?
You're talking yourself into this because you know that the Knicks are absolutely going to do this anyway. So you're talking yourself into it now just so you can mentally prepare yourself.
I believe here's the brain trust of the Knicks getting together to talk about Rose. Should we resign him? Well, we have no chance of winning now that we have Noah, so why not? I don't think that if he's healthy and can play like he was the last couple games, he seems like last year he was healthy most of the year. His production wasn't right where you wanted, but he's also a guy coming off a major injury where it's going to take a little while before he gets to the Derrick Rose of previous. Also, there's some guys you can sign with free agency, but I think the Knicks should try to, going forward, this word should be very important to the Knicks, continuity. Let's try to have a roster that's similar each year. Bring back more of the same guys. I think that'll make our team better. The more our guys learn to play with each other, the better. Guys,
I got it. If Noah, Anthony, and Rose all play like they did in 2011, we're going to be sick.
The thing with Noah is he's 32 years old. No one gets to their old form at 32 years old. Derrick Rose is in what you call prime age, 28 years old, 27, however the old he is. Yeah. He is a reasonable age to be to get back to his old form. And I don't think he's going to be MVP level, and I think that would be insane. Yeah. But he's looked pretty darn good. Okay. He's getting to the basket. He's been shooting better. He's been playing a lot better before his injuries made us all want to cry. Mm-hmm. You disagree? Fine, whatever.
No, but he's injured again. It happens every year. I don't see why this is a big shot.
Golden State. Do you have any issue with the Knicks resting Carmelo and I guess Rose was injured anyway, but do you have any issue with them resting Melo?
Yeah, I'm just saying Melo was so injured. You just happen to have a mystery shoulder injury the game he thought they were going to get embarrassed off the court, which turns out was one of the closer games this week.
Mystery shoulder injury. He's had this shoulder injury since he's been a Knick. His shoulder has been hurt every year he's been here.
Just happened to flare up right before the Warriors.
It has been injured every year, and not happened to. They should have just said we're sitting him. That's what they should have said. Because, of course, Hornacek has already said he was thinking about sitting him last week against Cleveland. So it wasn't like something that, and Melo's coming off a horrible night against Phoenix. There's nothing weird about them sitting him. I don't know why they made up the injury. Because they could sit him every night based on the injury he's had, a continuous injury he's had when you sign him to this 5-year deal.
Right.
Jay, where are they now? Just going to interject with something different.
Okay, who?
Chasen Randall. You know where he is now?
Scoring 38 points with 9 3-pointers in the D-League?
And he followed it up, I think, 7 for 9. He had another big game also.
Well,
he is. So I ask you, how does Endor still have a spot?
I was just about to say, Mr. Endor, it's been nice knowing you. It looks like you're on your way. You know what's going to happen? Some other team is going to snatch up Randall.
I don't know if Randall's that good. And he's had just had 2 good games in a row. He's had a mediocre overall season in Westchester. You look at his shooting percentage, it hasn't been that great. But he's not as bad as Endor has no value.
We said this about Tim Frazier, and he got a triple-double 2 games ago.
Yeah, just sign Randall. I don't know why Phil has this inability to change the roster. Last year, we had basically an empty roster spot the entire season, and Phil couldn't sign anyone, and then he eventually signed a guy. It was what's his name out of Philly, who then they signed him and said he's not going to play till next year, and then we cut him in the offseason.
Worthwhile roster spot.
I have to say Phil is a very frustrating team president / GM, and I think if his name wasn't Phil, he'd be the guy that used to have a job with the Knicks.
Yeah, if he didn't draft Porzingis.
Well, yeah, I mean that's his only saving grace right now is drafting Porzingis. But it just seems like if we had I feel like if we had a veteran GM, we would have been a lot better off than having Phil.
You think?
If we had Donnie Walsh, we would have been a lot better than having Phil.
Well, if we didn't override Donnie Walsh and destroy everything he built up for 2 years, he wouldn't have quit.
It's not like Denver's all that great, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but he was building something. It's not like he was like, "Oh, I'm done. My job's finished. We're just going to ride this out to a championship." He was building something.
Donnie Walsh understood when he was hired as the Knicks, he had a half hour to build a contender. He didn't build it within a half hour, then it was a bad job.
Yeah, Dolan was like, "Guys, it's 30 games into the season, and we're hovering around 500. Blow it up."
Okay, so the Knicks played the Warriors, and the Warriors acted like it was the Harlem Globetrotters versus the Washington Generals, as they said, "We're not going to score a basket unless we can attach an assist to it."
41 assists, and that's not even the most the Warriors have had this season.
It's not the old. I think the record is like 50 something, but it was like the first 35 of their 35 of their baskets were on assists. And then there was a complaint after the game that the refs or the scorekeeper was stretching out the definition of an assist, and I'm like, really? This is what we're complaining about? How about the fact that we suck?
How about the fact that they started JaVale McGee and he scored 17 points?
I mean, alley-oop to JaVale. I don't understand. Why can't you follow? Why do you have to only follow the ball and not think about where the ball is going? It's like every time, and I understand also when a guy is penetrating, the center always overcommits and leaves his man open, and then JaVale McGee basically dunks. Do you have to always overcommit?
At some point, we got to look at Rambis, right?
I mean, at some point, can you just say, hey, there's already a guy covering the guy, or kind of covering the guy that's driving to the basket. I'm just going to stay with my guy and see where it goes. And I know you're also left in a terrible situation because if you don't give help defense, then the guy that's driving is already really beating his man anyway, so he'll score. So maybe your guards should try to stop someone from driving to the paint.
Right.
But anyway, this is why I want a better defensive line. I want a more athletic lineup. Like with a Justin Holiday, I feel like would be a better. I think having KP at the center and Holiday as our 3 might be a better defensive lineup than what we have now.
Oh my God! I was looking at Moutier, and Clyde was saying how he's a bad shooter, and I looked, and he's 35% for his career, 35% this season, and I look, and he's 10 for 15 in the game.
I know. That was the thing about Moody. I was like, just let him shoot. He's a terrible shooter, except against the Knicks. Do you have anything to add about the Golden State game? I mean, the Knicks didn't get blown out as bad as they could have, and
no, they you know what? If you look, the plus minus, the whole starting lineup is minus double digits, and the bench is all pluses except for a cock.
But if you watch the game, also, it's just like Golden State was just they were just playing around. It didn't seem like Golden State took the game that seriously, hence the whole we have to get an assist on every play. So I feel like if Golden State played a real game, they would have just destroyed the Knicks. At any point, I feel like Golden State could have said, hey, guys, you want to just kill them now? And they could have just been up by 40 in like half a second.
The Knicks are like actively trolling me, though. Like, they lose to Golden State, which sucks, but then they also hold Green to 5 points, and he's on my fantasy team. And then the next game, the Knicks lose to the Nuggets, which sucks, but they hold Gallo to 13 points, and he's on my fantasy team.
You know what's weird also? Like, if you just, and again, I really do think Golden State could have, Golden State let the Knicks stay as close as they were. But if the Knicks shot okay from the free throw line, the game would have been really close. They shot under 50% from the free throw line. Why? Last year, actually, the one thing they did well last year was that they were actually a really good free throw shooting team. And now apparently, they're like, I don't know, the defense is too hard when we shoot free throws.
I mean, people who are saying we're being too hard on Noah, there's literally no reason for you to be a career 70% free throw shooter and start shooting 30%.
Yeah, that's also kind of annoying. Like, I understand that earlier in his career, his whole career, he's been twice as good as this. If Noah was shooting 30% from 3-point land, you would have still said it was below average.
Free throws aren't the type of thing that get worse with age.
Anyway, I think the whole idea of sitting guys versus Golden State was a good idea. I think they should have sat KP also.
Do you know he's down to 30%?
Noah's awful. I would have sat. Would you have sat? I think the Knicks should have sat KP against Golden. I know he's young, but why not give? If you're gonna you're sitting Melo. You know you're gonna lose the game. Why not give a couple other guys the night off?
I wouldn't have sat him. I would have maybe played him 20 minutes.
But here's the thing also. Draymond Green said this at some point, but I thought was an interesting thing. He was talking about when a guy you want to give a guy a night off, you only play him 10, 15 minutes. He's like, if I'm ready for the game, I'm ready for the game. You can play me 10 minutes or 40 minutes. It doesn't matter. If you want to rest me, just give me the night off.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's kind of you play a guy for 15 minutes or 20 minutes. He really doesn't have the night off. He's still using a ton of energy, and he's not getting rest.
Right. Yeah, but I think with KP, I want experience more.
I think I would have given KP. I feel like you looked at this thing and just said, we're not going to beat Golden State, unfortunately. So we need to beat Denver, and I want KP I want him to have energy against Denver, which he clearly was lacking against Denver.
Yeah.
And not that saying resting him would have been, I don't know, the schedule is tough. I would have rested him in this game also. Whatever. It doesn't matter. The Suns, do you want to talk about the Nuggets game?
I think we talked mostly about it. I mean, Fareed he's barely played this season, and then he was just destroying people.
Yeah, I saw somewhere they were making the point how Clyde kept saying Fareed, how is this guy not playing more minutes? And it wasn't. It's not that he should be playing more minutes. It's that the Knicks just were doing a terrible job against him. He's playing the number of minutes he deserves to play against everyone else. He's not that good.
Right.
I had some questions for you, Jay.
Okay.
I was writing up. I think we kind of covered most of them. What was a bigger waste of money? The Knicks paying all this money to get Noah, or all the money to get Phil?
Noah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we get Porzingis, so I guess.
The Phil money doesn't affect the salary cap.
I know it doesn't, but it does seem like we paid a lot of money for a guy completely inexperienced, and the experience is showing.
Oh yeah, we did. I'm just saying, you're not strapped. It's not like, oh, we can't. Westbrook's free agent next season. We can't get him because we got Phil.
Yeah. Did you? Oh, just wait, hang on. What else I want to cover? Starting lineup. Do you think the Knicks team, if we came back with last year's squad, we'd be better or worse than we were this year? If we didn't make all these offseason moves, how much better or worse would we really be? We'd have KP an extra year. You'd still have Robin Lopez.
Right.
You would not have. Let's say we could sign Jennings. I think the two major moves: the Derrick Rose move and the Noah move.
So we'd have Jennings and Billy and
yeah.
We wouldn't have Holiday though, right?
We would not have Holiday. So we came back with a similar squad to last year with some minor tinkering. Because I feel that,
I don't think it would be any better.
I don't think we had any worse either. Like,
No.
I feel like we'd have about the same. So what did you think of the other night? The Cleveland sitting LeBron, Love, and Kyrie. You know about this, right?
No.
I think it was against the Bucks. They sat all three of them. They gave them a night off.
The Spurs have been doing that for years. It's not like it's I don't think it's a big deal. I mean, it's insulting if you're the other team, but what are you going to do? I mean, the Cavs LeBron's never had a tough playoff matchup until the conference finals, like in his career. And this year's not going to be any different.
Also, the other question I have for you, non-Knicks question, but we have a super fan, Steven, who lives in Canada, big Toronto Raptors fan, but also likes to trust the process with Philly. The other night, Philly played Toronto. What does Steven do during the game? Who does he root for? Does his brain just blow up during the game? Right.
I mean, he loves the process, but Toronto's his team.
Yeah, he gets pretty defensive if you insult the process. So, Steven, we love you. I'm just wondering, during the game when Toronto plays Philly, do you root for – Toronto doesn't necessarily need the victory. Philly does need the victory in the sense of establishing kind of who they are. Do you root for Philly against Toronto?
No, he's probably rooting for another top 5 draft pick that they're going to mess up.
That's true. And Toronto is trying to get home court through most of the playoffs. So I guess that goes – I feel like if Philly wins, though, he proves the process is correct or on the right way. If Toronto wins, it's not as important for their overall success.
I do have to say, when Embiid goes down for the season, you might not want to download that episode.
You want to move on to questions? Anything else you want to talk about with the Knicks?
Nope. Let's see. We got a lot of emails, so we should probably start going through those.
Joe, jump into the emails, Jeff.
Cool. We got an email. Did I skip that one?
Jay will just give the thought.
No,
you're gonna just like think out loud everything you're doing.
This is from
breathe
Andrew.
In, breathe out.
This is from Andrew. If Noah can average 8 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, averaging about 25 a minute, is the money for this year worth it? So far, he's failing on all 3 of those accounts.
I mean, the thing is, the money's never going to be quite there, but the money has to be as long as he's reasonable, you wouldn't be so upset, and those numbers would be reasonable.
8, 10, and 5 is all right. He's not doing that though.
Yeah,
he's not even coming close to 25 minutes.
You know what kills me also on offense? Also, forget when he's down low. If he's 20 feet from the basket and gets the ball, his defender is also 20 feet from him because you don't even need to go anywhere near him.
Yeah.
So you create basically a mismatch against your offense because they don't need to defend you.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem also is when you have Jennings out there and Noah in the starting lineup, you have 2 guys who aren't going to shoot, and the defense knows they're not going to shoot.
Yeah, I mean that's a big problem. That changes the whole defensive, and it makes it a lot easier for defense. Andrew writes, I keep hearing sports reporters such as Bill Simmons, who I like, and people from ESPN, not from New York, say that D Rose is terrible, and the Knicks are stupid if we re-sign him. But I like what he's doing so far. This is 6 days ago. I'm just checking the date. And he's aggressive and can score inside, and I wish he can pass more. Do you think the hate on D Rose is because people hate him and the Knicks, or am I just being happy because we got a quality point guard?
I do think there's something about once a narrative has been defined about you, we just stick with the narrative, and the narrative is Rose is a shell of his Rose is a shell of his former self, and the Knicks are idiots for having him here, and he sucks. And then people look at the box score a little bit earlier in the season and said he didn't putting up that great of numbers, and don't watch the games and just assume Rose is terrible. If you've watched the games, Rose has looked pretty darn good when healthy.
Right.
You don't think there's a little bit in the NBA once the narrative is there, it's hard to get out of the narrative?
Yeah, I mean, people said Rose was injury prone, and now he's missed a lot of games.
People said Noah was done, and see, proved everyone wrong. People said Melo was a ball hog, and see.
Okay, next.
By the way, we didn't mention also just I mentioned a little bit. Do you want to give props to Melo for his like super efficient performance against the Denver?
What was that?
On 14 shots, he had 29 points.
Who?
Melo.
Oh yeah, no, he was great that game.
Yeah, no, I want to give him extra props because I feel like people feel like we're negative about Melo sometimes. I want to give him extra props when he was, and we were negative about the Suns game, so I want to give him extra props for the Nuggets game. He played great in the Nuggets game. I wish he would play close to that most nights.
Let's see. Mr. C writes, "Hey guys, now that you guys are going all professional and having ads at the start, have you thought about getting rid of or shortening your intro so we don't have to wait 2 minutes for the content to start?"
Was that an email really for the show to read out loud?
No, I didn't realize that before I started reading that.
Jay, since you came up with the intro music, what do you think?
I like the intro. It kind of gets us pumped to start the show.
I like hearing it. It really gets like I can't just start talking to Jay about the Knicks. I need the intro music.
Yeah, we need it. Tristan writes, "Is it just me, or is D Rose a vital piece of the Knicks' future? The guy, this is also 6 days ago. The guy you had on the last podcast seemed to think that Rose is just a placeholder. He clearly hasn't seen what the Knicks games look like last year compared to this year. Also, what personnel changes could the Knicks make either through a trade or in free agency this summer around Porzingis' logical transition to the 5?
I think actually, as far as people are saying, like now, who are we going to get at center? I think Porzingis' logical transition to the 5 will be helped by the fact that we have no one else that's really a center. I mean, not no one up. Having saying like Quinn and Hernan Gomez and Noah are our centers will help that transition because you don't have anyone else that's going to like really push him out of the way. Like when Porzingis.
The problem with this team is that trades are really hard because we either have terrible contracts or really minimal contracts. So there's not a lot of pieces you can move.
Well, also, but like if you had like a real center here, like if you say you had Robin Lopez, say, and he's not a world beater at all, but you would say he needs minutes at center. He hopefully play 30 minutes at center, and that's just it. But with Koch and Hernan Gomez or Noah, you could say, hey, Porzingis looks ready. Let's just give him center minutes. I'm not as worried about putting these guys on the bench or giving these guys less minutes.
Daryl's fact-checking you, and he said that the Cavs played the Grizzlies. So get your facts straight.
If I was going to get my facts straight, I would have to do a lot more research before every show. But don't you think, like, if you have 3 guys who are not like, I think Hernan Gomez is a pretty solid guy, and I think he'll get better also on defense. But you don't have guys that are really pushing minutes away from Porzingis at the center. I feel like if Porzingis was ready, if the Knicks felt Porzingis could play center right now, the only guy that would be pushing him away is Noah with his contract. But Noah's not even doing that.
Noah's just, I don't know.
Anyway,
I don't want to bash on him every episode, but this is becoming a problem.
This is really getting how could the NBA have another agreement without an amnesty clause? I mean, do you just hate the Knicks that much? We can just call it the Noah clause, and Noah will have something to be remembered by.
It's amazing that we need one so bad.
I mean, I have to say, no matter what you say about Noah, I think we can all, Knicks fans can agree that if we had the amnesty, we would think hard about using it on Noah at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Or before the All-Star break.
Absolutely. Tristan writes, the Knicks could have easily won that Phoenix game, but the Knicks couldn't even get a call for muggings, while if somebody looked at Bledsoe, he went to the line, and Melo took 4 atrocious shots, even though he was already like 3 for 14. Guess Phil's message fell on deaf ears.
I have to say, I guess I always watch the games, and I feel like I try to take into account that I feel like I'm biased in favor of the Knicks. So I feel like a lot of times the Knicks get robbed and foul calls. But then I try to like walk it back and go like, well, you know what? I bet if I was watching the other team, I'd have the exact same view about the other team. Mm-hmm. But it does seem like the Knicks get like kind of screwed in the foul calls a lot.
Yeah. I mean, Melo does get hacked a lot. We've talked about this before. I don't know if it's refs don't like him because he complains too much, or he complains too much because he doesn't get the calls. It's like chicken or the egg. Like what happened first?
Yeah, I mean, there was a play in the Denver game. I think it was Jokic or whatever the hell their names of their guys are. He was going for a shot. He just elbowed the guy who was defending him, and was able to score easily. And the ref didn't call it. And then the Knicks, like right after that, got called for some like touch foul.
The big issue is that the NBA doesn't call fouls consistently from player to player. I wouldn't say it's like a team, like we don't like the Knicks, but it's definitely players. Like you can't say that LeBron gets the same calls as Melo.
So I was listening to something. There's a podcast NPR does called like how I built this or something. And each time it profiles an interesting entrepreneur basically. And I listened to the one they did about Mark Cuban, and he was talking about when he bought the Mavericks. One thing that really frustrated him where the referee would openly admit they don't call the game the same way in the last 2 minutes of the game they do earlier on in the game. Mm-hmm. And he wanted the game called consistently throughout. Do you have a problem? Do you think it's better that the ref should call the game the same way in the last 2 minutes, or that they should call it based on what point of the game it's on, what stage of the game it actually is?
No, I think they should call it the same throughout the entire game. That being said, the way they should call it is to not call touch fouls.
Yeah, I mean, I would say if you're going to call touch fouls, they should be earlier in the game, and they should definitely not be called at the end of the game. So I guess I would say let the teams play a little rougher towards the end of the games.
But then you set a precedent, and then people get mad because it's called differently. Because if you're calling touch fouls in the beginning, and then you get touched at the end, and you don't get a foul call, then people are going to get heated. Just don't call touch fouls.
You know what? Also, in the Suns game, there was what was it? Well, first of all, it was KP also could. We didn't mention that KP in regulation could have hit a game winner and did not hit the game winner. Mm-hmm. But so one of the plays in overtime, Melo has the ball. PJ Tucker's guarding him. PJ Tucker just takes two hands and just pushes him, just like, and not even like it just pushes him, just like kind of like hits him basically. No problem whatsoever. The refs don't even call it, and he hits him again. And that kind of stuff is also kind of like I guess on the one hand, I do want teams to be a little rougher near the end of games. But at the same time, Melo was basically abused by P.J. Tucker on that drive, and he didn't score, and there was no foul. And you're like, oh, Melo, you missed a shot. And he's like, P.J. Tucker was like beating the crap out of me while I'm driving, and then I touch someone else on defense, and I get called for a foul.
Yeah, it's consistency.
It's consistency. I guess Cuban he was right probably about that. But I also just get rid of touch fouls. I'd rather more 90s basketball. Maybe that's because I'm a Knicks fan. But this is kind of it's almost atrocious the way you call basketball sometimes.
Do we have a lot of Facebook questions?
No, not that many.
Okay. Miles writes, hi from France. Hi, Miles. Look, Christmas is coming. Any Christmas gift ideas for the Knicks? He wrote, Hakeem, knees. Ron Baker and Kuz, a haircut. Phil Jackson, flight ticket to California.
We want to go back and forth on this?
Sure.
Noah, a time machine.
Derrick Rose, a back.
Or you could have said knees a little while ago. KP, the extra 20 pounds we all want him to have.
In his lower body, right?
No, just one ear.
Well, I don't want to see him like bulk up his shoulders like Dwight and then like start having ankle problems or something.
I thought you were gonna say I wanted to get a beer gut.
Yeah, I want Porzingis to get 20 pounds just in his ass.
Guys, I finally got the 20 pounds I was looking for. I just drank beer all off season. Lance Thomas, whatever he was doing to make Jay apologize previously.
Brandon Jennings, a 3-point shot.
Yeah,
a consistent 3-point shot.
Who else we got here? Kuz, I'd like to give you the gift of whatever you keep doing again in the doghouse. I'd like to. Not that Kuz is that good. I feel like he deserves more minutes though.
Hernan Gomez, defensive awareness.
Hernan Gomez, a B for his first name.
Melo, some passing instincts.
Melo butter so he can get the ball off his hands faster. I
don't have anything for Courtney Lee. I'm happy with Courtney Lee. We never mentioned Courtney Lee because he never does anything like he never has a game where he's destroying people, but he's never like pissing us off either.
His shooting percentages are pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I look at Courtney Lee, I'm like, why can't we just have him shoot a little more? And I know it doesn't work out that way. Like, if you shoot 47% on three 3-pointers a game, doesn't mean you can shoot 30 3-pointers a game. By the way, did you also see the Rockets shot 61 3-pointers the other night?
Yeah.
And they were 40% on 61 3-pointers.
That was a good question, Miles. Lorenzo writes, "Hey guys, Cock was big in the Suns game. Why did they pull him out in the fourth quarter? Golden rule: when Cock is big, don't pull out."
Yeah, that's what they did. They took Cock out and put Melo in. I have to say, like, if you have a bench unit that's playing really well, just leave the bench unit in. Let them start playing poorly before you take them out.
Yeah.
I do think we would have won that game if we had just left the bench unit in. Nothing against Melo, but Melo was having an off night and not in the flow of the game, and the guys at the bench were playing really well.
Let's see. We have an email from Stefan. This is a really long rant about last episode. Should I read the whole thing? Or?
Just give it the gist of it. Just give the gist of it, because it would be. Stephen, we really liked your email. It was a really long one. It's just a little long for reading on the show. Just give the gist.
And I think we might have skipped one of your other ones. Sorry about that. Please email us at nyknickspodcast@gmail.com.
And also, sometimes people send us messages on Facebook or Twitter that they're meant to be read in the show. Usually, if you email us or you put a message, or if you put, when I ask for the question of the day, questions for the show, put it there or in an email, and we'll definitely read it in the show. Sometimes we miss it in other places.
Right. If you join our Facebook group a couple days before an episode, Mark puts up a questions thread, and you can put all the questions there, and that's a good way to get your question read.
If you haven't been able to tell already, we're not very organized here, so it'll be very helpful if we put the questions there, and we won't miss them. If you put them either on the Facebook or on an email.
Help us help you.
Or sometimes I ask for questions on Twitter, sometimes I don't. It depends on how many questions how much we want to talk. I don't know.
So yeah, basically he was just he was mad at Jim. He was talking about how he doesn't watch a lot of the games. That's because he's moving and he doesn't have cable right now.
Jay, that's the part of the email I would have left out, by the way.
Okay. So moving on. He thinks Derrick Rose is a big part of the team, and Jim was saying we should not sign Derrick Rose. So he was upset about that.
The whole point is Derrick Rose has looked pretty good if you've been watching him. And there's a certain amount of like free agency versus continuity. Like maybe it'd be a good idea to have the same team more often, and maybe we could build chemistry, and maybe the team would get better if they keep playing together, as opposed to just like going to the free agency every offseason and trying to build like 10 new guys to play together.
Right.
That was kind of the gist of his email, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Stefan.
Stefan, very good points.
I think it's Stefan, but we'll keep calling him Stefan because it's funny. Stuart writes,
do you think you've ever met anyone that they pronounce it Stefan?
Just you.
There was a girl I went to school with who her name was Loren, which kind of a weird pronunciation. And we found out later on that like in high school she was Lauren, and when she got there she changed her name to Loren. She found kind of weird.
That's obnoxious.
If your parents are the ones that call you Loren, then like whatever.
Yeah.
But if you change it halfway, it's kind of weird.
Stuart writes, "Hi guys, I like Cock. Hard not to want Cock on the floor right now. His penetration is impressive. He definitely knows how to get to the hole. How is Noah even playing right now? This whole situation is very hard to swallow." Thank you, Stu.
I so wish the Knicks could just like, can't Clyde start saying Cock? How amazing! How much? Even if the Knicks are, how much better would the games be if they would just use Cock?
It would, and then make all those metaphors like he just did.
Yeah, the entire game is just a series of Cock
puns,
or plays, or whatever the correct word for that is.
Stuart writes, "Hey gents, besides the crappy play of Noah this year, in your opinion, what has been the league's biggest disappointment story this year? For me, it's the Timberwolves. Cannot fathom how they could be so damn awful. They've had Wiggins, Towns, and Levine and can't win a game. Makes no sense." My friend who's a Timberwolves fan sent me a list of top scorers 22 and under, and the top three were Towns, Levine, and Wiggins, and number 4 was Porzingis.
It's pretty darn good.
And they're still, one of the worst teams. I don't get it.
Well, you have to think of those guys. They can keep all those guys. 3 or 4 years from now, they'll be a really good team.
Right.
I thought Towns was a decent defender. I'm assuming the other and Wiggins is supposed to be a decent defender also.
He was supposed to coming out of college. He was touted as a good defender, but I heard he's been not good at defense at all.
Yeah, Levine's terrible on defense, but I have to think with Tibbs there, and the more they play together, I think the defense will get better throughout the season, and they'll probably be a decent defensive team next year. But it is surprising how bad. So, Jay, what do you think the biggest disappointment in the NBA has been so far, outside of the Knicks?
Outside of
the Knicks actually are 14-13, so we're not we shouldn't be so miserable. They have some easy games coming up. They should go back to winning soon. I also don't. Do they have easy games coming up? I hope they do. Do they get to play like Akron State or something?
Yeah, their schedule coming up is this week will be Indiana, Orlando, Boston.
Not the easiest of weeks.
Could be worse. Could be much worse.
Orlando always plays us tough. Hopefully, I feel like we could steal a game from Indiana more so than steal a game from Boston.
Yeah, I mean, Boston still isn't playing as good as they were supposed to.
Do you think that this an Indiana game is a game that like Melo gets up for on defense? Like he's like challenge like Paul George is really good. Melo is going to play really good defense on Paul George because he kind of gets inspired. Sometimes he'll bring his A game on defense or whatever. Because they have a really good player. Like he tries against LeBron.
Yeah, I say win-win loss.
Okay, let's go with that.
Okay. Yeah, biggest disappointment. I mean, I'm disappointed to see Dirk's either last or second to last season on a just awful team, and he's like so injured he can't even play.
They were asking Mark Cuban about tanking, and he was like, "Sometimes you don't have to." Yeah, but you had to know Dirk's run. His run was. Why do I hear myself say?
I don't know. You shouldn't.
Okay. I hear myself.
You still hear yourself?
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not doing anything on my end.
You're a liar, Jay. Okay. I don't hear myself anymore.
Okay.
But you definitely were doing something over there. Just admit it.
Was not.
You're such a liar. You opened a window. Just admit I opened a window. I shouldn't have opened, Mark.
Did not.
Fine. Whatever. I'm gonna send. I'm gonna. You know what I'm gonna do after this game?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna sign Noah to a $72 million contract that you have to pay, and he's gonna live with you.
I'm pretty disappointed in the fact that the East is so bad again. I mean, It's good for the Knicks in their standings, but it's so boring just knowing that the Cavs are going to make the finals again.
Yeah, I mean, Toronto probably is the closest team to challenging them.
Yeah, they're going to have a challenge in the conference finals, but the problem is they're basically going to have 2 first-round buys again.
It would be kind of great what you had in the 80s and 90s when or even it's just when you had to really get through something to get to the finals in the East. Even more recent memory when you had when LeBron was on Cleveland the first time around, the Celtics were good, Orlando was good, the playoffs were pretty exciting.
Right.
Yeah, that is kind of disappointing. I guess I agree with you. He has a cakewalk, which is kind of annoying. My biggest disappointment is the process is not working out yet.
No, this is still part of the process.
Still part of the process?
Yeah.
I really did. I also thought I agree. I did think the Timberwolves would be. I think I might have picked the Timberwolves to make the playoffs. Did I pick them to make the playoffs?
Let me check.
I'd probably. I don't think. I thought about them for the 8th seed.
I know I was going to, and then I remembered they disappoint me every year. Same with the Bucks. I had them both at 8th originally, and then I moved them back down because they both are nothing but disappointments.
The Pelicans, though, I'd say the Pelicans. They are my biggest disappointment. The fact that they can never figure out how to win with Anthony Davis drives me a little crazy.
Having actual other good players on the team besides him would go a long way.
Yes, it would. I understand that. I understand why they're bad, but at the same time, at some point, you think they'd figure out how to put some good players around him and keep guys healthy. I don't know. They should be better with Anthony Davis.
If you want to call us out on our terrible picks, you could go to the New York Knicks podcast.com. Eric's still writing awesome recaps for every game. So you could check that out. And
do we have more emails, or we can go to Facebook questions?
We have one more email.
Steven wrote me. The process is working out better than the shitty ass Knicks. Hope you enjoy your crap drafting. Steven asked me the other day that would I rather have Philly or the Knicks or team right now. He makes a strong case for Philly. Even if the process is not working out, Steven, the process is not working out quite as well as you'd hope so far. But they've got a lot of talent there. And Embiid, if healthy, looks pretty darn good. So now Steven won't send any bombs in the mail to my house.
Okay, you covered yourself. Yeah, I picked Timberwolves 9, and you picked Timberwolves 8.
Yeah, I really thought they'd make a jump. I really probably had too much faith in Tibbs' ability to play defense, to play defense. But I figured that Tibbs would make them a top 20 to 15 defense, and with the amount of offense they had to start winning eventually.
Yeah. Chuck writes, nope, we read that one. Stuart Wright. All right, we read that one too. I'm really on the ball now. Okay, that's it for emails.
Justin writes, do we move Lance Thomas? How?
He's got a pretty small contract. It wouldn't be too hard to move. It's just, what are you going to get in return?
I don't think you move Lance Thomas. I think he's still I know people are hating on him. He plays solid defense. His shot needs to get better. He's been looking a little better as of late. Am I crazy?
What game are you talking about? Wasn't he terrible last game?
Okay, maybe a couple games ago. I don't know. Yeah, he was bad the other night. I feel like though I've seen a little bit better Lance Thomas recently. I don't know. We have so few guys that play defense. How do you get rid of him?
He's not really playing very much.
Yeah, I don't. Having Lance Thomas will not prevent us from winning anything in the future. It will not prevent us from signing big name free agents. It's not like we're paying him $18 million a year. Frank writes, we virtually have no chance of beating the Cavs or the Warriors as the team is presently constructed. Wouldn't it make sense to trade Melo now while he still has some trade value? Maybe get some picks and a couple of guys who actually play defense.
Yeah, I mean, it would have made sense to not re-sign him to begin with.
I was thinking we should do it 1 week that we have a little more time where we don't have as much stuff to talk about. We should do a show where we pretend we're going to trade everyone and talk about what we get for everyone.
Yeah,
I think it'd be kind of a fun show. Like we're not actually going to trade Porzingis, but it'd be interesting to talk about what we'd actually get for him.
Right.
You literally just blew the organization up. Maybe around the All-Star game. I don't know. Do you think you can get a lot from Melo now?
He got a decent haul.
He 2 more years on his contract?
Yeah.
So it's not that bad. The money doesn't look quite as bad now. What do you think?
If you could get a first rounder, like a good first rounder, top 10, I would do it.
You can't though, because you can't for the simple fact that he won't go to those teams.
Lakers?
You think he'll go to the Lakers?
LA.
Maybe.
His wife is, she works out there a lot, doesn't she?
His wife works.
His wife's.
I have no idea. What did she do? What is?
She was like an MTV personality.
She's an MTV personality,
or was, yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I only known her as Mel's wife. I knew she was like famous for some other reason, but
yeah.
Anyway, yeah. I mean, but Lakers draft pick is not going to be quite as good as it was previously. The Bulls, you might be able to trade him to, I guess. Their draft pick, they probably not anymore because they have Wade. Yeah, I don't know. Because he can stop any trade you make because he has the what's it called, the no trade
clause. But if you told him you're going youth movement and you're tanking and you're not going to make the playoffs the rest of your career, he would probably waive that.
I almost feel at this point maybe we should just keep him and see how it goes.
Well, you also
How much-
want to re-sign Rose, so you're all in on this.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell. I don't know how to get to a winner. I don't know what. Obviously, you need to kind of completely rebuild, get a bunch of really good players, get lucky in the draft. Like, look at Golden State. They did amazing in the draft. That's why they're so darn good.
I would go scorched earth policy, really.
That's what Philly did. A lot of teams do that, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it does not work out. You have to draft really well.
Yeah, the Knicks draft good.
Kind of.
All right, keep going.
Okay, Adam writes. I guess I'm not ready to trade Melo. I don't think we're gonna get enough to necessarily make it worthwhile at this point. Adam writes. Melo bashing is at an all-time high, at least in the ESPN radio and the Alan Hahn and Rick DiPietro show, which I kind of like. I like Alan. Do you like Hahn and Pietro? Do you ever listen to them?
No.
I like them.
I had an ex-girlfriend who made out with Rick DiPietro, though.
Oh, nice. Good for you.
Yeah.
Do you feel any better that like you're like, yeah, I was getting with a girl that got with Rick DiPietro?
No, that was he was on like the college hockey team. Not that was before he decided to be injured on the Islanders for 15 years.
They both think the fact that he's tired already at 25 games in the season is ridiculous, and that he's not a leader and all that stuff. What can be done to alleviate that? Should Phil just continue to piss Melo off and make him either play at his best, or to drop his no trade clause and trade him indirectly? What if the rest of the team turns his back at the management and stop trying?
I mean, it would go a long way if he didn't have a 4 for 15 game like every single week.
I think Phil calling him out is helpful. I think some tough love. Melo, hopefully, I don't mind him resting a little bit, like in the Warrior game. You know what the thing with Melo is also, it drives me crazy, is that I feel like in last year and the year before, if he wasn't necessarily scoring, at least he got a bunch of rebounds. He was passing the ball a little more. He's been a little bit more just shooting, less other stuff this year. He's got to have a more complete game. But he's not the reason we're losing.
Well, we got plenty of he's one of the lesser reasons.
He helps us win. I mean, if Noah was anywhere near where he was supposed to be, we'd be winning games now.
Was he supposed to be that?
I don't know what he's supposed to be. We're 14-13. The world has not crashed yet. We've had a bunch of positive shows prior to this. We're just very negative this week.
I mean, I mean, like, what was Noah actually supposed to be?
Not on the Knicks, according to me. The people that thought the contract made sense, they thought he'd get close to his defensive. They thought he'd get back to where he was, I guess. I don't know.
Last year, he averaged 4.3 points and 8.8 rebounds. And this year, he's averaging 4.4 points. So he's actually scoring more than last year.
Twice as much points. Everyone that was in favor of the signing wrote off the last 2 years. They said he was injured and the last 2 years did not count, which is weird to do when the guy's 30 plus already.
Yeah.
So what do you think people thought they'd get out of Noah?
They thought they were getting 2014 Noah, just like people seem to think we're going to get 2011 Rose.
But I think with Rose, you could say he was young. He was still young.
Let's not have this conversation again.
Fine. Frank writes, so Chris Anderson just tore his ACL, and I think we can found our trade partner for Noah. Thank you, basketball gods. Sarcasm. I'm pretty sure Chris Anderson does not have a huge contract.
No.
Or does it?
He's done. His career's over. He's 38.
Yeah, I have to assume he's... Or maybe in 2 years the Knicks will sign him. Frank writes, can the Knicks adopt... You know what the interesting part about him tearing his ACL and being out for the year? Is I thought he retired 2 years ago.
I had no idea he was on the Cavs.
I
know there was a lot of ex-Heat players, like James Jones. I didn't know he was on there too.
I thought he was on there just the first year. And Frank writes, can the Knicks adopt the return policy of Mark's Library? This is from the Brink Show he's referring to.
We have a comedy podcast called The Brink of Sanity. That's on iTunes too.
Which we don't actually even actively plug in our show, but then we get questions from fans that make us plug it. We expected a like-new Noah, and instead got a very used Noah, so we should be able to return him. We could call it the Amelia Bedelia clause. I had an issue with a book from the library, which I just paid for today.
You'll have to listen to our most recent episode of The Brink of Sanity to know what the hell that was about.
I paid $17 for Amelia Bedelia. I feel good about myself. Paul writes, should I be very surprised or extremely surprised that Rose is missing games for my fantasy team?
Just completely shocked.
Paul writes, isn't Baker a two-guard? Yes, Baker really is a two-guard, and the Knicks are playing him at point guard, but why not?
Yeah.
What's the other option? His name is Sasha, who I'd be fine with them cutting also for. Actually, at least he's not playing with Sasha. How little do you think? How little does Horny think of Sasha? Or he's just like Sasha's not a point guard either.
I think he thinks as much of Sasha as we do.
Gillum writes, for next season and after, would you rather have Rose and Jennings or Chris Paul and a second round rookie or minimum guy?
Chris Paul and the minimum guy.
I mean, it makes obviously the Chris Paul thing sounds more attractive. Chris Paul is 30. He's 31, right? Or 32?
Yeah, he's putting up all-star numbers. As
He
opposed
is,
to two
until the
guys who
Knicks
are
get
not
him.
putting up all-star numbers.
Until the Knicks get him. I am going to say, I don't think we're going to re-sign both Jennings and Rose. I think Jennings is gone next year. I think Jennings will get enough money that we will not be able to keep him. Actually, based on how Jennings is playing, he might not get enough. He might just get the same contract he's on. Do you think? I almost would still keep. I don't know. Because I feel like we're going to sign Chris Paul to like a huge 5-year deal, and it's not going to work out either. I feel like there's nothing we can do as Knicks that will work out.
Well, because we don't do normal things like bottom out and rebuild.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a fan of rebuilding. Maybe we should just do that. And then you trade Melo and everything else. But the Knicks aren't going to do it, so it doesn't really matter. Since the Knicks are not going to bottom out and rebuild, what move makes more sense?
Chris Paul.
He's not coming here anyway.
Let's move on. We're not getting Chris Paul.
We're not getting Chris Paul. That's why the question is insane, because Chris Paul is not coming here anyway. I like Westbrook better also. Gillum writes, did you expect the Knicks to miss Rose so much? If one of them is not available to play, who is missed the most, Rose or Melo? Interesting.
Still think Melo's missed more.
I don't know. I think Rose, the way he's been playing very recently, might be missed more. But this team has been the entire time Melo's been here. When Melo is not healthy, the Knicks are horrible. So,
yeah.
Gillum's writing some good questions. Gillum writes also, my football/soccer team is Arsenal, and we have a quite ferocious French defensive midfielder, Francis Coquelin, I don't, whatever, a.k.a. La Coque. If Cock and Cock fought, if La Coque and Cock fought, who would come out on Cock? Gilman's going to win the MVP of questions for the show. Gilman also writes, maybe if you keep asking really good questions, I'm going to learn how to pronounce your name. He also writes, and for the last question, Hornacek is hiding his cards against the Warriors like Popovich does. That's why he doesn't play Rose and Melo in case we play them in the finals, I guess.
Interesting theory. Yeah.
That is a solid point. Can you imagine if we had to play if we had to play the Warriors like they were in our division that often?
Yeah, let's just be glad we're in the East.
Is there any chance the Warriors are not playing Cleveland in the finals this year?
Yeah, if Cleveland plays the Spurs.
I'm just saying, you think the Spurs are going to take out the Warriors?
It's possible.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, Toronto could beat the Cleveland also.
I mean, it would help if Parker wasn't a corpse.
How much, if the finals, someone said to you, I'll take Cleveland and Golden State, you could have the field, how much do you bet them?
Not much. Not much.
Yeah. What did we learn today, Jay?
We learned that first-time listeners are probably going to say we're the most negative people on the planet.
I mean, it was a negative week. Not trying to be that negative. Let's end on a positive. What positive things can we say to end this show about this team? And not even forget joking positive. Let's just say some real positive things about the team.
Okay, we seem to have a decent bench.
Yeah, the bench is we have some pieces that really are going to be developed.
We have a bunch of pieces that are better than we thought they were going to be going into the season.
Carmelo's coming off his most efficient night of the season, so maybe that's a positive.
Turning point.
Noah is realizing that what he's doing right now is not working out. Maybe he has an intense work ethic. Maybe he'll figure it. He's a veteran, former defensive player of the year. Maybe he'll figure out how to become a more serviceable, smarter player. Not smarter, but helpful player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got to be taking all this stuff personally.
Yeah, you got to think he's going to I'm going to really find a way to improve myself, and maybe like Dwayne Wade in the offseason next year, he'll be a great 3-point shooter next year.
Maybe Noah should just go for one of LeBron's mystery touch-ups in Miami.
I'm not even sure what you're referring to.
It was like last year. LeBron was looking like he was hurting and it wasn't playing too well, and then he went to Miami for some training, not steroids, training, and then he came back and tore up the league for the rest of the season.
Okay, so yeah, do that. Take steroids, Noah.
Why not? I mean, if they're gonna have a policy that's almost impossible to catch people, you might as well take advantage.
I believe the NBA's policy is you are not allowed to use steroids during games on the court. Has anyone been suspended for steroids in the NBA?
Yeah, Rashard Lewis, Turkoglu, basically the whole Orlando Magic team that made it to the finals.
That's true, actually. I feel like so few guys get suspended.
I think Jameer Nelson might have gotten in trouble too.
Who did?
Jameer Nelson, who was also on that Magic team.
Yeah, I feel like so few guys get suspended for it, and it has to be a lot more rampant. I mean, it's not just clearly baseball's not the only sport that was doing a lot of steroids. Football, the guys are you have a guy who's 800 pounds and runs a 4.4 40. Those guys are obviously taking steroids. No one's even and they're dealing with that. There has to be a lot of NBA players that do steroids.
Well, the NBA is hey, LeBron, in 2 weeks, we're going to come to your house and test you for steroids. So make sure you don't have anything in your system. And
the thing with it, though, baseball, guys are hitting more home runs than ever. They were hitting more home runs than ever. So you're obviously something's up here.
Mm-hmm.
Steroids. Football, you have guys who are just freakishly big and freakishly athletic for their size. People start thinking maybe they're steroids.
Mm-hmm.
Basketball, there's some acceptance that guys are just going to be gigantic and freakishly big, and so there's less. And it's not like when you take steroids, you're hitting 3-pointers from the other end of the court. Statistically, you're not doing anything that different. You're just healthier each night.
Right, but yeah, you recover from injuries quicker.
No. I'm not saying it doesn't help you.
Didn't David Lee I'm not saying David Lee's on steroids, but it was a little weird that he tore a hip muscle and missed one game.
Wouldn't you like to have that, doctor?
Yeah.
I do that. I am out for the rest of the year.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do think just because the way I think people expect the basketball players to be freakish athletically and just bigger than life, that if they are that way, there's nothing obvious that you're saying, oh, this guy's on steroids because.
Right.
Outside of the fact you seem healthier and more have more energy per night, there's no way to really spot the guy who's taking steroids.
Right. Unless baseball, everyone's on it and we just don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because baseball. Well, you should. I know you're not a baseball fan, but you should read Jose Canseco's book about steroids. The book came out. Everyone said he was what are you talking about? No one's taking steroids. He was 100% right. And the best part of the book is that it's a pro-steroid book. He actually advocates that steroids are a way to help people, and it's better for society if they're used properly.
That's pretty interesting.
It's a pretty interesting take on it all. I couldn't even believe it was a pro-steroid book. I was, But
Well, it made him a lot of money. I'm sure he's a fan of it.
yeah, well, yeah. It was also like it was a really like if you were like I was on vacation, it was like a really quick read. It was very like a fun read. What else pods we can say about the Knicks? Anything else we can say? They're 14-13. They're over 500. They're still sitting in the 8th seed?
Sixth
seed. So they're still sitting in the playoffs. Right now, we defensively, our efficiency, I just checked earlier today, we were ranked 26th in the league in defensive efficiency. And the fact that we're over 500, and the fact that we have a winning record with that level of defense means when we get better on defense, we're going to play a lot better.
There you go. All right, so go to almightyballers.com to check out the rest of the podcasts. Almightyballer, no S.com.
By the way, it's NewYorkKnicks.com.
The New York Knicks Podcast.com at NY Knicks Podcast.
Maybe New York Knicks Podcast.com. People will think it's about the Knick, that show on Showtime.
NY Knicks Podcast at gmail.com. Join our Facebook group. Leave us an iTunes review. You can get some Knicks Podcast shirts on the New York Knicks Podcast.com.
Are you, now that we're part of the almighty ball, is it Ballers or Ball? I don't even know. Is it Baller, right?
Baller.
Almighty Baller Network. Now that we're part of this network, are you going to make new T-shirts that include the Almighty Baller signature, like logo or signature on there?
There is 15 shirts left, and I will never get shirts made again, so buy them while they're here.
I would just love if you had the shirts made, just because it's just how unhappy you'd be about the fact that you're not selling them.
We sold a couple this month.
That's pretty good. You have 15 left?
Yeah.
They're a collector's item.
I think I started with like 48.
I actually have a question for you. I know the show's going long. If you sold out of the shirts,
Mm-hmm.
and you including like you didn't have one left over,
Right.
and then you saw them selling on eBay for like $200,
Mm-hmm.
how mad would you be?
I would find that funny. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. We will be back next week. You got anything else? No? You good?
No, I thought you were going to just
Okay.
end the show.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
You want to go? I could talk a little more
No.
about Rose resigning.
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. It's all over. Goodbye. It's time to go. This is the end. Say goodbye. You better go away. I'm gonna leave you. It's the end. Goodbye. Goodbye. Just leave me alone. Feels so good to say goodbye. I'm sick and tired and I'm saying goodbye. Goodbye, girl. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Everybody.
And now, insurance-minded speeches from Geico.
It's a common expression, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. However, what if the horse's mouth is filled with useful insurance tools? This is the exact case with the Geico app. Yes, the app is free and therefore a gift horse. However, look inside the app and behold, emergency roadside assistance, digital ID cards, bill pay. Get the Geico app. Look it in the mouth. Get amazing services. Thank you.
Okay, clogged pores. I've had it. You think I don't notice your pesky blackheads? It's all I see. Why else would I be dodging photos, yelling back up, zoom out, not so close? But now, I've got Biore Deep Cleansing Charcoal Pore Strips. With natural charcoal, they pluck out stubborn dirt, oil, and even blackheads in just one strip. So go ahead, snap away. With Biore, I have finally found the skin of my dreams.
Biore, free your pores.